force its debate. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Call the Honourable Mary Ann Street.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The speech of the member who's just resumed his seat reminds me of a line in Othello. The pity of it, Iago, the pity of it. If the member wants us to itemise what was wrong with the tax cuts, can I just give two examples? When the most wealthy, the wealthiest people in this country, get a tax break of $1,000 a week and ordinary workers get $10 a week, the National Party needs to look at what it is doing and the structure it is setting up in the taxation system and who it serves. Mr Speaker, my greatest fear from this budget is its timidity. It is its lack of vision, its lack of boldness to do anything that is required to alter the structure of this economy and to assist anybody other than its mates. The previous speaker tried to make a point of saying that Labor and others on this side of the House are in this business of politics for ourselves. I think the member needs to look closely at the kinds of contracts that Murray McCulley has let out and to whom and by which process. They need to look at how across the state sector contracts are let, not just by the office of Murray McCulley, but others, and see how many of their friends have taken up contracts in a way that verges on a word that I'm not allowed to use in this House, but starts with C. Mr Speaker, just when New Zealand needs bold leadership in economic management, we get timidity. We get the same old tired answers from a centre-right party that should be able, with its new influx of members over the last couple of elections, to engage with new thinking and new ideas. But we don't get that. We get the same old things. We get tax cuts and asset sales. And apart from that, nothing new. Everything else is tinkering. And there's a danger in this, Mr Speaker, because this budget isn't just about the next year. This budget is a symptom of the poverty-stricken thinking in the National Party. It is a symbol of the fact that this national government has no idea about how to manage the country into the future and has not the will to engage with the big issues. So, for example, we don't see them tackling a lack of savings. We don't see them wanting to make KiwiSaver compulsory. We don't see them tackling an unbalanced taxation system. Why not? Because it serves their friends well to have an unbalanced taxation system. So no, they would not introduce a capital gains tax because that might even things up too much. That might actually discourage people from investing in property and assist them to invest in business and new venture and growth. So at the same time, they can make sure that their mates' housing prices stay high because they are doing nothing to address that investment and the fact that people like to invest in property. They're doing nothing about that area, which could have an effect of pulling down the rate at which house prices increase at the very least. I want to come back to that theme in a moment. But more than that, Mr Speaker, we have a complete unwillingness in this budget for the government to address the big issue of superannuation affordability. All of those members over there, including the Prime Minister, know that the way superannuation is structured and the demographics coming upon us in short order mean that superannuation as it currently is not sustainable. And so The Labour Party decided to take that on and address it as a hard issue as the facts became clear in the last term of Parliament. And so we decided to front that issue, but this government cannot, because their Prime Minister has single-handedly painted himself into a corner over this issue. Single-handedly painted himself into a corner. And because of that, the rest of them have to troop like lemmings in behind him, and very soon they will find the edge of that cliff and all tip over it. Come the end of 2014, the lemmings will follow their leader over the cliff because they are not prepared to speak up and take account of the big issues, the structural issues that are confronting the economy in this country. I want to take one issue in particular that distresses me almost more than any other, and it is the issue of housing. The Housing Minister has done nothing in 3.5 years to address the question of housing affordability. There are economic structural things that can be done, such as balancing up the taxation system, introducing a capital gains tax, encouraging people to invest their money in growth and development rather than in static assets like property. But no, he won't take those big issues on. But even when he is given an idea and a platform by the previous government, and I had the privilege of having the housing portfolio for the year before the 2008 election, of taking the Hobsonville project, which put up the idea of 3,000 houses, and the planning that was going into that had got to the stage where houses were ready to be built. 3,000 houses in Hobsonville, 2,000 of them to be market cost, market price houses, 2,000 of them. 500 of them to be social housing and 500 to be affordable houses. So 500 state houses, 500 affordable houses, and 2,000 for all of the rich people who are friends of the members opposite who wanted to buy in that lovely part of Hobsonville in West Auckland. And what has the minister done with that? Built 17 houses, 17 houses, and cancelled the rest of the program. Why? Because it's in John Key's electorate. And John Key said in 2008 in the election, there won't be any of those nasty, nasty little state houses in my electorate. Don't worry, we're going to can that project. Housing is at a crisis point in this country, and there is nothing in this budget that has been provided to address it. The other issue that is a critical lack in this budget, Mr. Speaker, is the lack of a skills strategy. We have got billions over the next 4 years going into roads, billions going into roads, and nothing going into apprenticeships. The apprenticeship system has been shut down by this government. We do not see the investment in young people. Had there been investment in young people that simply continued from where we were at the end of 2008, we would have seen a readiness to rebuild Christchurch that isn't there. We shouldn't need to import labour when we can train our own perfectly well. But we have a gap now where a skills strategy used to be. There is no vision, there is no foresight, and there is no investment in people. The roads are there already. They might be able to be improved, but as a matter of priority, billions into roads and not into people, that is a travesty. That is an absolute travesty. And this budget will go down in history for only one thing, because it won't be remembered after much longer, but it'll only go down for one thing in history, and that is its timidity, its lack of vision, its inability to think creatively and over the long term. That is what this budget will be remembered for, Mr. Speaker.
I call Gareth Hughes.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker.